Okay, here we have our computer case. As you can see, it might be a little bit difficult, but we have two fans in the front. There's our open cavity there for our motherboard. We've got multiple bays here, 3.5 for hard drives and your 5.25 for your CD-ROM drives, etc., etc. 5.25. And also, we also have our cooling fan in the back, as well as another 200 millimeter fan on the top. So as you can see, as I said before, sufficient cooling from this particular case. Power supply goes down in this area. Not a bad unit. Firewire. Well, excuse me, that's not firewire. I don't know what that is. USB and our sound input and output. I'll take a closer look at that particular port and find out what that is. Might be firewire, I'm not sure. It doesn't look like it. Anyhow, this is the computer case that we'll be using for our Ubuntu box. We'll push that aside there. We'll take a closer look at the motherboard. Here we go. Got our PCI slots, PCI Express slots, and our PCI Express for our video card. 4 DIMM memory slots, of course CPU, and our additional external component slots, plugs in the back, etc., etc. 6 SATA connections. Nice board from AMD, or excuse me, from BioStar. Supports the AMD processor. Not a bad looking board. Put that aside there. Next we have our EVGA GeForce GT. Also, it's a nice looking card. Sufficient cooling, not bad. 1 slot. It's got our 3 different ports there. I'll be using DVI or the VGA. I don't have monitor that supports the HDMI. So, we'll hope that this can perform like it says, and also it is capable of overclocking, like we said earlier. And here is the quad-core AMD Athlon 2 processor, running at 2.8 gigahertz. Take a closer look at that. AMD Athlon 2. Nicely packaged. This is the heat sink and fan. Hope this provides sufficient cooling. It should. It's got the AMD logo on it. We'll see how it does. I'm not overclocking this processor, so it should be sufficient for our needs. Next, we have our DDR3 RAM memory. This particular RAM has some type of cooling fins on it. Apparently, it must run very hot, but that might be on there also because you're probably, if you overclock it, I'm sure it'll run hotter than what it's supposed to, and that might be also why that cooling feature is on there as well. Looks pretty cool. You can see right there, This is PC3 12800. Nice looking memory. But we're not going to be looking at the computer, we're going to be using it. And here is the CoolMax power supply, the modular CoolMax power supply. Apparently it does have, this particular model does have some cabling that comes out of the power supply. This might be what you might want to refer to as a semi-modular design, because in addition we still have our different connections that we can plug in for additional components. And so I'm guessing these are just the basic components all wrapped into one, but if we want to expand, we have additional cabling and additional slots right here for different plugins for additional components, depending on how powerful your case is and how big it is and what you're supporting. I'm not sure, but that seems like it supports a lot there. That's our unit. And so, we already seen the DVD. What I didn't explain earlier was, as far as the hard drive capacity, we are going to be using, which I don't have with me currently, is a 500 gigabyte Western Digital hard drive running at 16 megabytes of cache. That will also be in the unit. So, now that we've seen what we have to build our Ubuntu box, let's go ahead and get started. Put these pieces together, and let's rock and roll.